R.B. Rajendar, Managing Director, Citi. Sir, may we have you with us on the stage, please, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, another seasoned leader in the data analytics space with 30 years of global financial services industry experience. Joining us, our next elite panelist is Rupangi Kadakia, Head of Strategy and Operations, Albertsons Companies, India. Joins us here today. Lovely having you with us, ma'am. With extensive global experience across large-scale enterprises playing a key role, it's lovely having you with us. You see your picture, you take your seats, and that's how we have paneled everybody together. We would now like to request Pancham Taneja, Country Head, Delta Capita, to please join us, ladies and gentlemen. 25 plus years of global leadership experience here. Lovely having you with us, sir. Joining us next is Nithya Subramanian, Senior Director, Data and AI COE, Best Buy. It's not every day that I see two women panelists. I'm very, very happy having all the women in the room today, but two panelists with us. Thank you, madam. Thank you for joining us here. 20 years of rich experience across multiple domains. She's here with us. Thank you, Nithya, for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, our next panelist, Kaushik Das, seasoned GCC leader with over 22 years of global experience across diverse sectors, including retail, fintech, financial services, and consulting. We're very happy having each of you with us, but this moment is special, and I'd like to hand over the stage to Durga Prakash.
Thank you, everyone. First of all, thanks to 𝗏𝗏𝗚𝗖 and all the audience for staying very active now. So this topic is going to be very tricky in terms of AI++ and the new playbook. Before I start the panel discussion with these elite speakers here, I wanted to just touch upon a few things, just reflect about last few years' journey in the GCCs, right? A few years back, we were called cost centers, captive centers. 3 years later, we were called capability centers. Today, we are at the center of everything that gets AI right. And we are also becoming the strategic assets for our parent company. There is something changing in the perspective and the narrative in the last few years. And captive centers to strategic assets. That means something we are all in this room doing right. Why don't you start with a big round of applause to each one of us here. And before I start, I also wanted to set the context for the AI++. When we say AI++, we are not talking about one thing. We are talking about the classical AI, which has already been running silently in our operations. Generative AI, which defined a new means of dialogue between machines and humans. And agentic AI, which is taking from assistant to autonomous, everything running on the strong foundation of data engineering, which can take us completely successful or which can also collapse. So the AI stack is about everything else together, AI++. The next generation GCCs, which understands how to orchestrate this stack, will become the winners. With that context, I wanted to start with a small check with the audience. I want to know a quick hands, how many of you already deployed generative AI in your own GCCs? Please raise the hands. Don't keep it down. How many of you believe that generative AI was enterprise class or a production ready? I see some hands are coming down.
DP, whether the hands are up or not, it's very difficult to see from here.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
Right. So the reason why I'm also asking about this is a quick check of a conversation which happened last week. It's a prospective GCC trying to set up in India. The conversation was around, most companies today do AI theater Very impressive demos, but very little invisible impact. And just check the reality today. The journey of AI is AI plus our ability to orchestrate many other things. What you do before AI, what you do with AI, and what you do after AI. The journey of enterprise value. With that context, maybe I will start the first question to Kaushik. How has the GCCs moved from AI experimentation to scaled and production grade AI from your own journey?
Thanks, DP. Good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, thanks for setting the context that helps. Look, I mean, a few years ago, I mean, it's been a while, we all have been talking about AI, different forms and formats of AI, right? But still, I would say many of us, as individuals, as GCCs, we are still in the crowd, while some of us are in the dugout, but definitely there are a few who are in the middle, in a tough spinning track and fighting it out. And I think, with that analogy, organizations who are in the middle, a big shift has happened, and one is, from the word adoption, we are now into orchestration. And that's what has set them apart from the crowd, from the ones who are in the dugout, to the ones who are actually playing it out in the middle, right? Again, the stakes are pretty much, basic. We used to talk about task-based automation long back, and now it's more intelligently placing in AI in the core nervous system. For example, I have a ton of retail kind of lessons with me, and one of them is, it's easy to say, item setup, which is very core to a merchandising process. It's very easy to kind of automate that task through whatever shape or form. We used to do it with, macros before, now we do with AI. But the intelligence is when you link it up with how my items are being set up to, the vendor system, to the supplier system, to how it connects with my supply chain, my distribution. And the moment all of this is achieved, both in the upstream and downstream of a particular system, that's what we are talking about, being intelligent and not just being task-oriented. So that's a big shift that we are seeing. The second one is in the whole economics of it, right? Running the, production-grade LLMs, running this high-powered, models and the tokens, the cost and everything, that needs deliberation. And that is where a GCC is in a much better space to, have a blend of technology approaches, be it cloud, be it on-prem or edge, and how do you balance all of it together, and then bring in the CFO angle as well, because managing cost at scale when you're going into production is very important. And one of the final pieces definitely is, as you go through both of these, how do you make sure that your ROI gets captured in a most authentic way? Because it's very important to distinguish hype versus ROI. A couple of years ago when we were talking about AI, or rather Gen AI in Beyond itself, we were talking about how it's the new ingredient for everything that we're preparing. We have come a long way from there, right? And it's very important for organizations to ensure that if I'm putting in an effort somewhere, how am I kind of capturing the ROI? And let's say for a finance GCC, it's no longer about automating my invoice recognition. It's about how can that extrapolate and connect to my tax codes globally. How can it also make the payment, remittances, and make the whole process orchestrated rather than just task-based automation. So I think that's at a very elementary space that's shifting.
Very well said. Orchestrated intelligence to the orchestrated value chain for enterprise. What is your perspective, Nithya, on the same thing?
I'm compelled to say +1 to Kaushik, because very well articulated about the journey of enterprises using AI. I would also like to quote what Lalit mentioned in the morning, which is about, it's no more about human in the loop. It's human in the lead. And that's how we are also moving in a journey from humans on their own to human in the loop to human in the lead. And if you look at how AI is being deployed across organizations, it's pretty much in the same organic life cycle. Just until now, or maybe a while back, we were like purely experimenting, right? We saw a new thing, new technology. We just want to ensure that we understand it well before we actually take the huge risk of deploying that in the production. It's just like thinking like a VC, right? You take heavy bets. So we did that, right? And then we experimented, we kind of learned through these experiments, set our data architecture right, set our tools right, we got our governance revamped. So there has been significant amount of learning in that initial phase where we were experimenting. We kind of built our ecosystem around AI. Now we are going to think like a PE, right? Wherein we are not, no, so we have seen it, right? We have understood the risk and we have transformed. Now let us deploy in the production for the real value use cases. And through the experimentation, we have learned where it is best fit as well. So we know what are the right use cases that need to be delivered through AI. And plus, like Kaushik mentioned, we have fixed our integration as well. Now AI is seamlessly integrated in our workflow with human leading it. It is seamlessly integrated into our ERP. It's seamlessly integrated into our business process. We are thinking about revamping the entire business processes around AI, right? Agentic AI, automation, and things like that. So this is an exciting journey where we are right now. Future is going to be completely about value realization and deployment. Still, AI is a cost element, right? Because many of us have not been, to the extent that we might desire, realize ROI. So the future is going to be making it much more optimized in a way that, we start seeing ROI out of this, right? Through automation, through further integration, and redefining your revenue streams, opening up new revenue streams, because AI is as much a teacher. It tells you what are the art of possibility as much as a tool.
Excellent, very well articulated. It's not the proof of concept, it is more of proof of value and also orchestrated value realization across the enterprise. Great. Now, I'll come back to Rupangi and Kaushik also. There's an excellent question. What are the new ways of working that AI forced GCCs to adopt? And what were the old rules were broken from your perspective, Rupangi?
Yeah, I can start and I'll love to hear Kaushik's perspective as well. For, how GCCs have actually changed the way we show up in the enterprise. In the past, we were seen as offshore extension of a team, doing some kind of extension work or deployment work or development work or support work in India. It has completely changed the perspective. So the way Albertsons Companies India has come to India is we are setting up end-to-end pods with full ownership in India. So if there's a product that we're going to develop, an end-to-end ownership of the product, along with all cross-functional capabilities that makes the product development happen, is going to happen from one location. And if that is India, it is India. All the way from strategic thinking to requirement gathering, to building the capability, to maintaining, and to you supporting from India is the new ways of working for the GCC. Ownership and co-creation. Why this has been working well as well also is, I'm sure a lot of you are using it actively, and it's now mastered in the industry, is AI has augmented the entire SDLC lifecycle. Like every part of SDLC lifecycle is been supported by an AI co-pilot or an agent. And that just enables these teams to work with so much more of a speed. So they are not working on mundane tasks or repeated activities or code generation which are already existing. Reusable code, building agents is the new way of operating. And because of that, the value of these teams are working to be much, much faster. And because of that, the teams are able to experiment much faster. The data is evolving, the models are changing. You're able to try and experiment so much more faster. In fact, we have a team member here from Albertsons who's working and experimenting and giving value generations already to our e-com fulfillment cycle, being almost probably around 4 months in the company. But that is what has enabled our teams to do, is come on board, work with smaller teams, more outcome-driven, leveraging AI in every phase of their life cycle, and experimenting and proving value to what Kaushik and Nithya earlier shared as well. And we have changed now, as DP said before, not cost centers anymore. We are seen as innovation product hubs. So I think that's what has been changing.
Kaushik.
Thanks, Rupangi. And I think completely agree with all the points because, and more we'll keep hearing the word value because that becomes very important. It's no longer volume. right? We've spoken so much about the evolution of GCCs, where it's now about the value, and we have an amazing tool, or whatever you say, aid, to capture that value more or less real time. So value is a big change in the way, the lens that we have today. The second piece is, today, as again Rupangi was mentioning, we are not about teams or cross-functional teams, one of our favorite words in GCCs. It's about cross-functional pods, where you do not have levels, you do not have titles, it's about what competence you're representing. And today in a pod, you have engineers, you have business folks, you also have folks from finance, because all of these aspects are very important. And I think between these two comes the word that, we have it today, and we'll hear it more and more, is human in the lead. It's not about someone controlling a few agents, it's about how they can coexist. And as you deploy the agents, and as you're getting some work done, human and the agent, who's doing what sort of heavy lifting? I think having that sort of approach, these are the new ways of working that we are seeing.
Excellent. Between Rupangi and Kaushik, you very well articulated end-to-end ownership, cross-functional teams, driving value as a lever than the volume. Of course, I really like using AI for your own work. I think
having the end-to-end ownership really helps all of these, because unless you have the end-to-end ownership, and the GCCs which have matured, or the ones who are already coming in with that mandate, are already having an advantage to get that end-to-end ownership and get to that point of value much quicker, if not already there.
Perfect. Great. That is really good. So the next question is, this is to more veterans in the room here, both RB as well as to Rupangi. As GCCs pursue AI for innovation and transformation, what is the new operating code emerging, and how it will differentiate winners from the laggards?
So that's a very good question. Actually, having seen the growth of GCCs for the last 30 years, I would say maybe we started off with saying, can you deliver things on time, accurately all the time? So that's how it all started. Maybe looking at doing that for a while, now the confidence of the business went up. I would say in most of the companies, I feel that maybe a significant portion of analytics is sitting with India. And honestly, they are looking for much more than what we can do today, right? So the value we can deliver is what they are looking for. And not investing in innovation in India is a very, very big risk. So having said that, I think we have been actually working on doing innovations in a different way for the last few years. We all started off saying that, okay, let us look at bottoms-up approach. Any idea is a good idea, so we'll start working on it. So we started off the journey that way. Now we are looking at a hybrid model where most of the ideas we come up with is aligned to the business goals. So, and with that coming in, I think we see a lot of AI ideas coming in. When we did an innovation program last year globally, we saw around 1,200 plus ideas coming in. And we were wondering how many of them will have the AI component in this. And these are all like innovation ideas. We don't know how much will work, but at least we wanted to see how many have AI component in it. I think all the winners had the AI component, and to a large extent, 70% of the ideas across had the AI component. Having said that, I think one of the things which we have done quite well is to give the tools to all the people across. There are number of tools which are given to all the 200,000 people across. This has helped people to actually experiment with the tools to see how they can deliver efficiencies or a value which is a significant uplift over what we were doing earlier. That is happening to a large extent. And I think the strategy with this coming in, with the innovation coming in, I think people are looking at, for each of the businesses and the functions, creating pods, right? And this can change the operating model to a large extent. The pods have, as I said, people from pretty much all the different functions coming together to see how we can identify something which is very valuable it's an alpha project or a sprint project which can help us to deliver a huge value to the business. Identify not many, but a few, so that we can start working around it and also hire people with those capabilities to come in so that we can get guided by them to deliver the best. There are so many projects which are happening across, but I'm not considering the POCs because the POCs are maybe helping us a bit. They are giving us a lot of efficiency gains. But in the operations world, for example, we have so many people and the costs are quite high. Most of the work is actually happening in those areas. I would say, so to a large extent, some of the things which is helping us, say for example, we wanted to create a translation services team which actually looked at converting the invoices from Japanese to English so that we can send it to the US so that the global finance will pay all the invoices. A huge team of around 200 which was getting set up, but with AI coming in, I think the entire team is wiped off. So the operating model itself is changing. To a large extent, I think people are doing a much better job like looking at other opportunities, but if I look at the translation services alone, the translation quality with AI is much better than what it was done manually earlier. So to a large extent, I think people are getting much better. The operating model is defining a lot. I would actually say maybe it's the initial stage, which will take a bit more time to actually come up with the operating models, but a huge focus on how we can actually optimize most of the functions or the businesses is what we are looking at.
Very interesting to see your approach of having AI versus using AI for changing the way we do businesses. Perfect. How about you, Rupangi?
Yeah, I would actually go with everything that 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗃 said and just adding to his thoughts, and we are in the similar journey as well. When we were coming here, we had a late movers advantage. We started last year compared to other GCCs who have been in the industry for a very long period of time. We took it as per advantage. And when we were designing our org structure, operating model, AI is forcing us to redefine how we operate. In the past world, we used to have horizontal teams, all engineering, all testing, all product, sitting together, monolith way of operating. Now it's completely changing. We have small product teams, as 𝗬𝗲𝗀𝗃 said, completely cross-functional, all the way from product management to UX designers, to data scientists, to engineers, to QAs, to DevOps, sitting together and delivering a solution. Small teams, cross-functional, sitting together, operating at a much faster pace, able to make decisions and continuously own the outcome of the product. So they are not just coming, they're persistent teams. They sit together, they continuously think, how can I make this product better and better every day? Right. The other shift that I've seen in the recent times and many other GCCs along with ours as well is that the GCCs are moving into investing into platform-first capabilities. Earlier, like when we were all new into the AI world, to what Nithya said earlier, we were all experimenting AI and trying to leverage in different parts of the world. Now, the teams and companies are coming up with AI platforms, data platforms. These platforms are going to be managing common integration, data models, rules, biasness, governance models, have observability in it. So that platform evolvement is leveraged by these product teams to deliver the complex business solutions. They don't have to think about, let me think about which LLM to integrate with, or how am I going to work with this model. It's the platform gives those capabilities. They have to take away that risk from their mind and are able to play around and deliver much faster and complex business solutions. I think that has shifted heavily and we are doing the same in Albertsons as well, developing an AI platform from India, which is going to be for enterprise. And the other thing is shifting very heavily for us is, how are we finding talent as well? It's no more find me engineers, find me product managers, thinking about people who are outcome driven, who have the business mindset, who understand the product capability, who understand are working on an AI first mindset, who are data literates. I think that has evolved heavily, is along with the technical and the skills that you need for the role, evolvement of how are we trying to find talent and how are they coming as owners and want to be builders and owners in India is become very, very prominent for us.
Excellent. It's more fluid teams who can think end to end and deliver. Very good. Excellent. Now Next topic, we want to go with the very interesting stuff happening around the agentic AI. Maybe the question to you, Pancham, how agentic AI can be made realistic from its hype? And where do you see this agentic AI delivering near-term value to the enterprise? The last part of the question is, what do you think should not be agentified in your perspective?
Thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. So I think the first part of the question has, in a way, been answered by my co-panelists. I think the term which has been used is ROI. The hype can only be justified by the ROI. Now, what does ROI mean in this case? Are you just looking at the cost aspect of it? The industry I come from, that is important. So I represent the financial services industry, so that is important. Along with that, I think ROI would also mean accuracy, speed, and scalability. If you are able to de-risk the agentic workflow and understand that the change is not causing a downstream effect to somebody else and making their process much riskier, then I think the hype is real. So you have to look at ROI, de-risk, downstream impact, and look at the scalability of the solution to make the impact. In your words, to answer the second part of the question in terms of where do I see the impact, I think it's across. It's in finance from a shared services perspective, finance and HR, recruitment is using it. In our operational world, it sits at a pre-trading client onboarding aspect, and it also sits post-trading from a settlements and a confirmation perspective. The feedback we get from our clients, and having worked in a bank as well, we understood that 60% of our maker work is manual. Now, how do we automate that, or how do we take the physical analyst or agent from the desk out? So that is the thing we're working at. We could use generative, you can use agentic, and look at doing those. So I think, like I mentioned, finance, HR, talent, operations, from coding. I was interviewing a gentleman and I asked him a question about what do you think, how think AI will impact the coding? And he said that I would put AI as the top 200 coders into the category of top 200 coders. So coming from a person who does this, I think it's a telling statement that AI is a very powerful tool. Now, where I don't think it should be eligible or made use of, if you give autonomous power to AI to act, which is the human in the end or human in the loop or lead, I think that is where we need to have guardrails around it. Where there is empathy involved, customer dispute resolution, I don't think AI can be used. Strategic decision making, we still haven't gone over there. So I think these are the few key areas I wouldn't want to leverage AI, but from a pure execution point of view, definitely. And last, very important one is, we are a very regulation-bound industry. So whatever information is going to the regulator has to be seen by the human before it goes out. So I wouldn't trust the AI to do it, on its own. So that's my 2-3 bits on that. Thank you.
Excellent, very well said. RB, you want to add on?
So I think all the things I think he has covered. A couple of things which I wanted to add was maybe how it is helping. Just giving an example, which we are pretty much at the verge of implementing it. Looking at the agentic AI coming into the operations world, where call volumes are forecasted with a huge error earlier manually. Now it's all automated, so we have better algorithms running it with less than 5-6% of error rate, a huge saving, which is happening. And based on the call volumes, you also determine the capacity plan for having those many people to take these calls. So that also gets optimized totally. So there's a huge thing which is happening, I think, as he said, across, not only just in operations, but in the operations world, just because the costs are very high, you will have more focus in those areas. What cannot be agentified, I think I agree with you, but one of the things which I don't know whether we will have the same views in the next 5 years, because a lot of things can change, right? And today I feel when we are hiring, right, we cannot actually hire people based on agents interviewing and selecting our candidates, but you want to have an interview with them and then select. I don't know how many of you like your spouses to be selected by AI over a period of time, but I doubt whether that will happen. So some of those I feel that where manual stuff is involved, maybe in the places where risk is very high, personally or professionally, I think you want to be involved and make sure that human in the loop is always there.
Very well said. I'm going to the last corner of the conversation. I'm a strong believer of it takes a complete ecosystem to raise a perfect GCC. Today, the most successful GCC ecosystem that we are in, because of the ecosystem that we have. So this question is to both Pancham and Nithya. What is your thumb rule for building versus buying, partnering core models between enterprise and ecosystem that we have, and your perspective on critical functions like consumer, privacy, healthcare, and those areas?
I'm also looking at the time, so I'll keep it short. So the principle of build versus buy choice does not change. I think thankfully, it remains the same that anything that you want to own as a long-term IP, anything which is strategically important for you, where the margin of error and margin of taking chance is very low, you keep it as build. Anything where you don't trust your own capabilities, right, or where you are not there yet in terms of technology and skills perspective, and you want to kind of engage with an external partner to kind of co-create and learn as a part of that is something which we kind of buy. And partnership, I don't think even if GCCs grow beyond what they are right now, we still would need to partner with the system integrators. They bring a lot of domain context which are super important for GCCs.
Great, thank you.
Make it super quick. I think it's a triage of use cases with the risk, scalability, and also looking at what stage of adoption you are. I have worked across industries and companies where some companies completely believed in a buy philosophy, and some companies believe in a hybrid of both. And the answer is never binary. So you have to look at what stage, do you have the capability, do you have the talent, or you want somebody else to come and help you with it. So if you look at the cost-benefit analysis of it, then I think you'll arrive at the right decision. You'll never have one, it'll be a hybrid of both.
Perfect, very well said. So just to conclude, few comments. What I see is every industrial revolution as a movement where people in the room realized that they were no longer watching the future, but they were actually building. So I believe the moment for GCCs and AIS is right now here. I know we could not complete the entire playbook, but some of you in this room will actually execute and build that entire momentum, right? So what I believe is the GCCs that masters the AI++, they just don't support their parent companies, but they become more relevant and more valuable centers in the journey of global value centers, right? So I would say a closing comment from the perspectives of the panel is, you don't get the GCC you want, you get the GCC you build. So all of us have a bigger role in playing AI++ entire stack to execute. One of the famous Harvard scientists told, it's always the technology evolution is much faster than the enterprise evolution. That gap is the opportunity, and that's where we all have a role to play in terms of accelerating the adoption and making sure the enterprise value is given. I will conclude with a comment. Data is the new oil, AI is the new engine, but GCC is the refinery. Thank you very much, the panel.
Thank you so much for powering this session. Let's give a big hand to all our speakers and our moderator while I request all of you to stay back with us. I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Sameer. May we have you with us on stage, please, to do the honors and hand over the token of love and memento to our esteemed panelists on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for our moderator. Everybody, put your hands together, please. And to our speakers, thank you so much, Mr. Durga Prakash, Mr. star be Rajendar, Rupangi Kadakia, Pancham Taneja, Nithya Subramanian, and Kaushik Das. And we can reassure that the GCC playbook is certainly being rewritten, with AI being the new code.